Morning and welcome to day 26 of my Veganuary experience. If you've been wearing a hoodie on most of these videos, it's because I normally record them very early on in the morning and it's still cold out in my office. So hope you're all nice and warm while you're watching this because it is still chilly. It is still January after all. So last night we treated ourselves. There's a restaurant in a little town called Epworth, which is near to where we live, and we used to go there quite a lot to this restaurant. It's called the Epworth Tap, and it's a really, really lovely restaurant. The folks who run the restaurant are a lovely couple. You're made to feel very welcomed. Really nice atmosphere about the restaurant. So it's fantastic, fantastic food. I don't really know why we stopped going as often. I think it's probably because it was quite pricey. It's one of those places you would probably go to for a treat, unless when there's no object, you could eat there every week. But yeah, no, it's really nice. And they did do a vegan evening. I'm not sure if I spoke about that actually. I can't remember when the vegan evening was. So they actually did put a huge amount of effort into producing a whole load of vegan dishes. So we had a bit of a reason to celebrate. I'd been paid last week, and it's because I've changed jobs. There's been a bit of a delay to that, so we felt that we'd be nice to treat ourselves. So we thought we'd try the restaurant. Now, I wasn't sure whether they were going to be open on Saturday night. Some restaurants do close in January because it's a very quiet period of time. It's just after Christmas. Nobody's got any money. And we wondered whether they closed or not. And there's a couple of clues that are things that made us worried that it wasn't open. So anyway, I rang them and they were open. I rang about lunchtime on Saturday and they were open for meals on Saturday evening. So booked a table and I then said, did they serve any vegan dishes? And they said yes, and then they said something else quite interesting, and I think it's probably just badly phrased, but have you got a vegan? I thought, I thought like, have you got a cat or something like that? It just seemed a really odd, slightly odd thing to say. Anyway, putting that to one side, I explained that we were both vegan. They went, oh, right, okay. And they said, yeah, no problem at all. Now, I think I was actually speaking to the lady who was actually the chef when I rang up. She said, "Yeah, no problem at all. We can do something." So we're quite excited, really. So we turned up and we were not disappointed at all. So they had actually put two starters and two main courses on for us. So we decided just to order one of everything. So we tried both starters and we tried both main courses, and I have to say they were absolutely fantastic. So I had a pear salad, which was gorgeous. And again, pear salad, I mean, that's just one of those dishes that any restaurant ought to be able to do. I mean, pears, walnuts, balsamic vinegar, lots and lots of other bits and pieces, but all the kind of things that any restaurant would have in stock. So how hard is that? Why can't more restaurants do it? I don't know. So that was absolutely gorgeous. My wife had, it was a bruschetta type dish, but there was like, loads of it, and it was absolutely gorgeous. And similarly with the main course, mine was based around butternut squash, but I mean, it was done beautifully. I mean, it was absolutely gorgeous. And it just goes to show that vegan food doesn't have to equate to awful, tasteless things. And I think some people do get that into their head. Oh, if it's not got meat in it, how could it possibly taste of anything? Well, there are lots of dishes, and I'm sure there are lots of cultures around the world that have much more fresh food in terms of fresh veg and fruit in their diet. So I'm thinking particularly around the Mediterranean. So yes, you can get meat-based dishes in the Med, but they do eat a lot of dishes that have fresh veg and fresh fruit in them, and I'm sure they have a lot of dishes that are just fresh fruit, fresh veg in them, and no meat. And I'm sure that there are other cultures around the world that are similar, where actually meat doesn't play a significant part in the diet, and yet can produce beautifully tasty dishes. So I think that there's some people just think that if they've not got meat in the diet, it's just going to taste bland and plain and horrible and things like that, and it's just, that's nonsense. Like any dishes, dishes can have flavour or not, and I've known people who have cooked roast beef really badly. I've got a story to tell about pork chops. Oh, just done awfully, really awfully. Just, how can anybody do that? And then, veg boiled to death. What's this obsession in Britain with boiling veg? I think we steam a huge amount of our veg. A lot of stuff goes in the oven, so we do like roasted veg. But when we're not roasting it, I have to say we do tend to steam, and I think the veg that came with these dishes on Saturday night was all steamed. It was beautiful. It was lovely. So there was a vegan dish, and then there was loads of side veg as well. So it was absolutely gorgeous. So it just goes to demonstrate that restaurants can put on vegan dishes. I mean, that wasn't hard. I mean, butternut squash, pear, things like that, tomatoes. These are the kind of things that lots of restaurants can have in stock. It was good to have rung them, though. I think that was because it wasn't obvious online whether or not they did vegan dishes. So I'm glad that we did. Just let them know we're on our way. So that worked well. So it'd be interesting to hear people's experience when they've rung restaurants and said, "Oh, can you do vegan dishes?" And does the phone go silent for 10 seconds while they panic and think, "Oh my God, what can we do for vegans?" We did have that experience once. We rang a local pub. Not the one in the village where we live, which is very good. They do a vegan dish, the River Don. Well done. But another pub not too far away, and my wife rang up and said, do you do vegans? And they said, well, we could probably go out and get some Linda McCartney sausages. She thought that's not really the response I want. And then, interestingly, I think she said, "Oh well, we'll leave it then." I put the phone down, and then I think a few minutes later, the phone rang, and it was the restaurant that said, "Oh, we're really sorry, we can do something." So we just thought, well, surely you must think about these things if you're a restaurant owner in advance. Maybe some places do more than others. So it'd be interesting to hear your experiences of when you've rung a restaurant and said, do you do vegan food, and how long does the line go silent for? Do they go, "Oh yes, we do vegan food, no problem at all"? So yes, it would be interesting to hear your experiences. So that was really nice night out, and it's always a lovely atmosphere there, and we can't fault it. It's a lovely evening out. So yeah, glad we treated ourselves. That was really nice. So then today you've got a friend coming round for lunch. So my wife's going to do a couple of vegan dishes, I think, for lunch. And then what we don't eat will either freeze or go in the fridge for me to have us eat up. So that's really my day so far. So hope Veganuary is going well for you. And as I keep on saying, if you haven't thought about having a plant-based diet or just trying it, then why don't you just do it for the rest of January? It's only a few days, and just see what it's like just to not have meat in your diet for the rest of the month. It's only a week, less than a week, so why don't you give it a try? Okay, hope you've enjoyed watching this video, and I shall see you tomorrow. Cheers, bye.